you see so many people complaining that, wow, the system is rigged, EBRC is, rigged, or it's not a level playing field. But then when opposition parties try to do something different, then people shit on them. The fact that RDU is outside of parliament and they want to form this, I think actually, let's see what happens.
Many people will laugh, many people will ridicule them, but I think this is a step in the right direction for parties that want to differentiate themselves from each other, right?
In some way, we are like a shadow petir.sg. Right?
I think if anything, maybe we're at a shadow lunch with Sumiko.
We just sit in a dark room and eat dinner. We eat dinner.
We eat dinner.
Lunch with Sumiko Tan, dinner with Terence and Harish. If you love this podcast, chances are you value real conversation. The kind that's honest, emotional, and stays with you. Now imagine a conversation like that about someone you love. That's what we do with our audio service called Folklory. We hop on a 30-minute call with you or someone you choose and turn that conversation into a beautifully crafted, personalized podcast for your loved one. A gift that shows them how much they mean to you and how much you appreciate them, which they can listen to forever. And we guarantee that it'll be one of the most meaningful things you've ever given them. Because we'll use everything we've learned from interviewing more than 1,000 people across 20 countries over the past 5 years, including the Prime Minister of Singapore. And if you want to make it extra special, add on our limited edition Folklory speaker, styled as an old school cassette tape, so they can play their story anytime, anywhere. All the details are on folklory.com or reach out to us on WhatsApp at the link in the show notes. So hope you can check it out because we'd love to help you create something unforgettable. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor. Good to have you back, Terence.
Yeah, didn't have a choice. All the people complain about their bosses don't let them take MC and all that. Harish, give me a dirty look when asking me whether I'll be back in the office.
Hey, first of all, I didn't know you see me as your boss. Thanks, Terence. And second of all, I sent you a WhatsApp text.
Yeah.
Okay, there was no dirty look or anything there.
Yeah, but
I was out of concern.
But people can read, reading between the lines of the WhatsApp text. Is
No.
Are you going to just stay at home again? Or I'm going to do it alone?
No, all I asked was, I asked about your ankle last night, this morning, yesterday morning also.
Yeah.
Then I said, so you'll be coming into office or recording remotely?
Yeah, that's the tone. The tone. Office? Are you coming to office?
Or recording
remotely?
Are you
going to office? Or you just going to stay home? You going to office? Imagine if your boss, guys at home, people
remotely.
At home listening to this, imagine if your boss says to you, so you're going to stay home again? That kind of tone.
No, it's like your boss saying, you're going to stay home again or you're going to come to office?
It's just the tone. It's just the tone.
Yeah, it's
very condescending.
You are reading too much into it, Terence. It was pure concern, no?
Yeah. No, but the truth is, I think the last round, when I tried to do it at home, I realized it's even more tiring than just coming to the office to do it.
Oh, because you have to set up the camera
set shit up and do it alone some more, and set up I had to there was a little pyramid that I had to build the chairs and a folding table and everything.
And you were holding your mic the whole time?
Yeah, because I had to, because my ankle thing, I have to sit back, you see, and lean back, and also I can't lean forward at the table that easily.
I see.
So after that, I realized, just come into office.
Okay. So it was your own desire, not a certain message from a certain somebody that prompted you to come.
Also, just expecting the black face that you will give and all that, if I said that I am not coming in.
Please, Terence, please. I've changed, I've changed a lot, okay?
You think
even
so?
Last time,
but
I'll be fine.
You're king of LinkedIn, side hustle, productivity guru, everything. That's your jam, right? You love this shit, right? Working while injured, working while sick. You love that, right?
Even that, I think I've changed also, now with a kid and all, married someone who also values, spending, not doing every minute doing work.
So basically not being inconsiderate asshole. That's how you change. Not an inconsiderate asshole anymore.
I wouldn't go so far to say that I was an inconsiderate asshole, but maybe last time I was a bit more just work.
Work is work. Right.
Work is life.
Yeah.
Work is life. Yeah, now there's more to life than work.
Correct.
Even though work and life are very intertwined.
Yes.
But
it was an interesting experience, right? trying this whole remote thing.
Yeah, because literally I put a screen in front of me so I could see your face almost like life size.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think people still listen to it and it's still quite engaging and all that.
Yeah. Correct. So I mean, interesting.
I mean, we did it when you were traveling once, I remember. You were in Saudi Arabia.
And I think 1 or 2 years ago in Penang also. But I don't know whether you were in the office.
I might have been in office, but we didn't set up everything.
But it was a change because I remember when we started off doing from our rooms during COVID, the first time we recorded in the office, I was like, I just look at Terrence the whole time. Then it became the norm. And then yesterday went back to like, so it was another change. Like I was like, okay, I can get used to it, but it was still a change. Yeah.
I mean, at least we got the episode out.
We got the episode out. Correct. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, your ankle is still strained,
Still,
and I look at you with just so much care and concern of that.
It's such a cynical thing. He's such a glass half empty person.
Why? Yeah. I'm so glad you're back in the office, Derek. Just to have the human to human connection.
Of course. No, I actually do think that's important, and that's the reason we moved. Even though we didn't have to, we could have continued doing remote. But we said let's do it in the office, right? I don't regret it at all.
You mean general or for today?
In general.
In general.
I don't regret moving like entirely live recordings. It's just something about it. It's much more of an event. Right?
It is. And when we have guests and all, there's a lot that you can glean from someone's, aura or body language that you can't get if you're remote.
Correct. So who has surprised you? You've seen him or her on TV or on social media.
And then when we met them.
Whose like demeanor or even like the gait or anything surprised you the most?
I mean, I would say Bilahari was quite eye-opening.
Okay.
Just talking to him face to face, because you read his profiles and all his things online, almost feels like quite abrasive and all that. But you meet him, no, he's quite personable. He's just very opinionated. For you?
I mean, I think Leong Man Wai. Every time I see him in Parliament, he's quite a larger than life personality, right?
Yeah.
But seeing him in person, I was like, oh, okay, he's like about my height or shorter, which I was quite surprised by, right? Yeah. So I'm talking about like literal physical attributes, because TV cameras can make you look about like 20% bigger or something like that. But when you don't see the rest of the body, and the proportions and all that, it's quite surprising when you actually see the person up close.
And plus, Parliament, if you're a backbencher, you tend to stand up and look downwards towards the cabinet ministers, right?
Maybe that's why.
So that also maybe plays a part.
Yeah, because if he and Tan See Leng had a standoff, like physical standoff, Tan See Leng's tall.
Tower around.
He's big and tall, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I mean, we are going to be talking about some aspects of Parliament.
Yes.
In this episode.
Or out of Parliament.
Out of Parliament, correct. But what's our regular spiel?
If you're new to the podcast, please like, share, follow, subscribe on all our different platforms, because we post a lot of stuff on Instagram and TikTok that you might not see if you're just staying on YouTube only. Of course, YouTube is where the action's at, but our Instagram is a bit more fun these days, right?
And I mean, our Reddit is past 6K already.
Oh, yes. Reddit is always a place for very interesting discussions.
Thoughts.
Yeah, without not even us like speaking to people, but people talking amongst themselves. Seeing us as a third space, right?
Third space, correct. Reddit. And if you want to work with us, just reach out at, you can email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just drop us a message at ministryoffunny.com.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we can jump into it.
Post GE 2025. We talked about SDP's plans after GE 2025. Quite interesting. But not just SDP, right? In fact, this opposition party is contested the second most number of seats after Workers' Party this election. Unfortunately, didn't win any, but they are announcing their plans for the future, right? Which are quite interesting also. Which party is this?
It is Red Dot United, which is led by Ravi Philemon, who's been on our podcast. So on 24th May, they held an event at a press conference to thank at an event at the party's headquarters in Ubi Crescent to thank volunteers after the GE 2025 general election. So similar to how SDP made some announcements at an event they organized to thank the volunteers, this was RDU's equivalent. But the one big announcement from them is that they want, and I quote, they want to make themselves better known. So if the PAP fails, people will know there is a shadow government in place to take the country forward. So basically, yeah, they want to work towards being an alternative government. And by doing that, they want to form a shadow government because they do not want to be checks and balances anymore.
Yeah.
It was also unveiled as part of their 3B strategy. So the first B is breaking away from being a check and balance on the People's Action Party. The second B is believing in RDU's younger generation. And the third B is building a brand for the party, which may even see RDU changing its name to a more serious sounding one.
Yeah.
And yeah, there were some questions about whether they've reached out to other mainstream opposition parties, because their goal is to work with other opposition parties that, share similar ethos, similar ideologies, to build a digital platform tentatively called altgov.sg to flesh out policy positions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all. I mean, there's more details about why they want to do that. But yeah, a shadow government. When you heard this, right, what made you feel like, there's something to talk about here?
I think what's interesting is that this idea of a shadow cabinet or shadow government, right, which is essentially, forming what's the term for it? An alternative government that could potentially take the place of the current cabinet in case anything happens, right? That's actually a part of the Westminster system, which Singapore follows, right? And we've actually taken the first few steps towards doing something like that officially with the appointment of the leader of the opposition in 2020, Tristen Yeak. Because in the UK, that's what they do. They don't call it a shadow prime minister, but they call him the leader of the opposition. And then other cabinet roles, they actually call them shadow shadow finance minister, shadow this, shadow that. But for the prime minister itself, they don't call it a shadow prime minister, because I think that maybe accords too much power to too much heft to a shadow cabinet.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting that this is being tabled now, because in 2020, Pritam Singh himself actually said that Workers' Party itself is not going to field the shadow cabinet because they don't have the numbers or the resources to. I think the leader opposition gets a salary and is able to hire a few more people under, with that. Is it? I'm not sure if it's with the salary or outside the salary, but he's able to hire a couple more people compared to a normal MP, which can only hire one legislative assistant and one other assistant. So we're starting to see that the structure is in place for, if the opposition parties get a stronger foothold in government, there could be a forming of a shadow cabinet within the parliament itself.
Yeah.
But Ravi Philemon of RDU has said, my tu liao lah, no way anymore. Let's just do it, even if we're outside of the government, outside of parliament. And, we'll work with all the different parties that are in or not in the parliament and see whether we can put it together. Yeah.
So you think it's a good idea? Or do you think it's like, what is this? What is this nonsense? Huh?
I don't know. What was your initial reaction when you heard about it?
I mean, okay, my initial reaction was looking at the party. They got, I think, 23.7% of the popular vote.
Yeah.
And they got tested in quite a few GRCs and SMCs. Like what you said, they were the second biggest, right?
Yeah.
Even more than WP. So
less than WP.
Oh, the third. Third.
As in the second after WP.
Yeah.
WP then RDU. Yeah.
Actually, wait, we can verify that. But they got 23.35% of the popular vote share.
Yeah.
So then I was thinking, okay, did they have an impressive GE? I don't think they were very impressive. I think their speeches, I mean, their candidates all seemed like, earnest, good people who really care. But it didn't feel like they were putting that strong a front forward or that cohesive political party .
Yeah.
So when I heard this, I was like, I mean, is this just like wayang attempt at not being a so-called mosquito party ?
Yeah.
And just trying to punch way above their weight. But then I was reading up about shadow cabinets and shadow governments, and the biggest difference for me was like in a lot of countries that follow the Westminster system, like a lot of countries in the Commonwealth, the shadow cabinet is present in countries like the UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. Not so present in countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, other countries in the Commonwealth. And the shadow cabinet is actually formed by opposition parties in parliament. Which is why, when the WP said they don't have the manpower, because they only have how many people in parliament.
Yeah.
For these other countries, there's a lot more opposition in parliament, and they can almost feel or dedicate certain candidates to be shadow ministers. And I mean, it's basically like man marking, in football, right? I would imagine if you are a shadow minister for, say, finance, you will really be checking and proposing alternative policies regarding finance. So anything the Minister for Finance says, it's your role to rebut, which means you might not have the bandwidth to look over other ministries. WP cannot. So, but then the fact that RDU is outside of Parliament and they want to form this, I think actually, let's see what happens. And I'm excited that they want to do this because in some way, it's good for them also, right? Anytime there is something that is said by a certain minister and all, I would want to look for the corresponding shadow minister within RDU and see what they have to say. And it almost feels like we are getting a debate of policy early on rather than just within the 3-4 weeks of campaigning.
And just to verify what I said earlier, number of seats contested, RDU was in terms of opposition parties, second after Workers' Party.
Oh, they were second after Workers' Party. Okay.
Workers' Party contested 26, RDU contested 15, which is higher than both PAR or PSP or SDP for that matter.
Okay.
So but I think the important thing is that one thing I didn't realize is that the term mosquito parties that was popularized by Bertha Hansen, right? Apparently, it was the first mention of it was on our podcast when she came on. I think
that's something I didn't realize.
I didn't realize until after the election, right?
Yeah.
Because we heard, people on other podcasts saying, on the Yellow Butt podcast, Bertha Hansen mentioned this and all.
Yeah.
Then the term mosquito parties became lexicon for all the smaller opposition parties.
Yeah, I thought that was Bertha has been using it for ages.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And that's why I was asking her to explain it. I didn't realize Bertha was birthing this.
Bertha was
birthing this term on a podcast, but it really picked up. And I think anyone who, any commentator or podcaster or that who was talking about G25 used the term, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it was almost too dismissive immediately of the efforts of the opposition parties, right? As mosquito parties. And I think when we had Ravi Philemon on, we asked him about it, and he said that every party kind of starts out as a mosquito party, right? Whether it was the PAP even, or Workers' Party and all.
Yeah.
They're all mosquito parties at the start. And he saw, his analogy was more of a bunch of ships trying to take on a large aircraft carrier. That's what the opposition parties are, right? So, for better or worse, mosquito parties became a popular way to describe them. But I think it also sort of just killed any debate about any value that these smaller opposition parties bring. And in some way, I think that maybe was overdone during the election. And then you add in all the
What
memes.
was overdone?
The dismissing of smaller opposition parties during the election. You add in all the memes and all that were made of some of the members of opposition parties, right? It didn't help the overall image of opposition parties. But there are some opposition parties who are seriously trying to do things, like SDP with their recently announced alternative to NTUC, right? I think PSP said that it will hunker down and it will carry on. We don't exactly know what the plans are, but they will carry on.
Yeah.
And now RDU is coming up with what they term as a shadow government.
Yeah.
So you can't dismiss these efforts as just they should just go away, right?
Yeah.
I do feel like there's a part to play for these smaller opposition parties to even keep the Workers' Party in check in some ways as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's good that I think Ravi Philemon is doing this, but I do feel that of course, without any seats in parliament, and with the electoral showing being lower than say independent candidates like Jeremy Tan, right?
Yeah.
Many people will laugh, many people will ridicule them, but I think this is a step in the right direction for parties that want to differentiate themselves from each other, right?
But how do you feel playing a part in like
Popularizing the term.
Popularizing the term, because I've seen clips where people take it, right? Bertha Hansen, then both of us are like
laughing. Yes, that's right.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, when we say, Tan See Leng used Cantonese in parliament and everybody behind him laughing, But I mean, they like, as a term, first of all, we're not parliament, right?
Yeah.
So it was just funny seeing it take off and knowing that it was, like what you say, birth on our podcast.
I mean, I would feel bad if we didn't at the same time give some of these people a chance to defend it also.
Yeah.
So we got Ravi Philemon on.
Yeah.
We spoke to him at length, right?
Yeah.
Hour and a half. We asked him about this question. I think he gave his version of events. Whether people buy into that analogy is another thing, right? It's up to you to convince them.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like, we were complicit necessarily in people not taking these smaller parties seriously. But I think it's also up to Ravi and other leaders of the parties to realize that this is the public perception out there, and what they need to do to combat it, right?
Yeah. But then have you seen like people online, on Reddit? Of course, Reddit is Reddit, online is online. But they're saying, RDU does not have resources to put up posters and they want to form a shadow cabinet. How are we going to trust a party who hates the rich so much they decide to contest in one of the wealthiest GRCs in the country? Seriously, they don't even have any presence in my GRC all these years, and they have so many relatively unknown candidates, some even of questionable qualifications.
Yeah.
What do you think about comments like that?
I think, remember when Chee Soon Juan came on a podcast and he talked about the actual cost of getting up each one of these posters. I think he came up to like $40, including manpower and printing costs and everything, right? So it's not cheap, it's not cheap, and it's a quite a big endeavor to do them, in large GRCs, especially. So when talking about resources, those are real constraints, right? So I think we have to acknowledge that's where opposition parties are at. Even Pritam himself describes Workers' Party as a small opposition party with limited resources, in spite of their seats in parliament and all.
Yeah.
So it's a real constraint that they have when physically it comes to talking about putting up posters and things like that. People will knock Ravi Philemon for whatever it is, but I think he made a very good point on our podcast as well that, in 2020, if they didn't contest the election in Jurong, it would have been a walkover, right? Tarman and all. And I think the Marine Parade, Braddell Heights experience this time has showed that people want to be part of the process, even if they are going to vote PAP. They want to see like some fight, some opposition and all.
Yeah.
And RDU provided that during that period.
Yeah. So so you think all these people are just being unfair?
I think they're judging RDU based on what they know about PAP or even Workers' Party and all that. But RDU really is a much younger party than either of those, right? Yeah. So I think it's not exactly a fair comparison.
Yeah. Because like what is it? Is RDU the most stellar, most impressive party? Not to me,
no,
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see so many people complaining that, the system is rigged, EBRC is, rigged, it's not a level playing field. But then when opposition parties try to do something different, then people shit on them. To me, I'm like, hey, you can't have it both ways. You want the level playing field, but then, you acknowledge that the field is not level, but you want them to do things that are not novel or just different. For me, the biggest thing is, if they want to form a shadow government, shadow ministry, shadow cabinet, because they're not in parliament, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
If they were in parliament and let's say Pritam is saying, of the 12 candidates we have here, we are going to dedicate 6 to the cabinet and it will be focused on that, while the other 6 will look after all policy matters. That one, there are pros and cons, but if they are out of government, out of parliament, then by all means, man, do it. In fact, you are committing publicly, then it's on the public to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Same way, SDP is in some way setting up a shadow union, right? To counter NTUC. And if they are setting up a shadow cabinet, even this year they had a shadow budget in response to the budget put out by Lawrence Wong, right? So to me, I'm like, I may not agree with all your ideologies, all your political beliefs, but if you want to do this, by all means, go ahead. Because I think these are the kind of things that we need to see over the next 5 years. People experimenting, people doing different things, and just maybe if they form it and people will be like, oh my God, I am never going to vote for RDU because they say this and they develop this. But even if they can just counter and provide some different perspectives to policies that are put out, I mean, that's a net benefit.
Yeah. And I want to refer people to the very recent interview that we had with Jeremy Tan as well, which I mean, he's everywhere now. He's an influencer. He's on every platform. But you listen to our interview, I thought it was good because we managed to dig a bit deeper into what exactly his plans are after GE. So if you listen to our interview with Jeremy Tan, I think he paints a picture of what civic society, people outside of parliament can do, right? He talks about, if he's asked to join the PAP, his response would be, do I really need to join the PAP to solve the problems, the biggest, most glaring issues that we have out there? And to him, I think the HDB asset issue, that's the biggest problem, right? And he says, if I can work outside of the system and help to come up with a solution, whether it's through Bitcoin or other things, and then, within the party, within the government, you do your own thing, we all benefit as Singaporeans, right? We all benefit. It's not so much about which party did it first, which party did it right, but basically people just coming together, putting their heads together and using what resources are at their disposal to make things happen. So I thought he laid a much clearer path for the average Joe, the average person on the street, to actually find a way to help Singapore if you want. You don't necessarily have to run in politics or be part of a party or even be an independent candidate. There are other things you can do outside. He talked about doing an EBRC hackathon, which I think a lot of people feel is a great idea, right? So there are real things that you can do, and we want people who are not in parliament to be doing these things, pursuing these things, showing us that it's possible, right? Ravi Filmon, RDU, they'll do it that way, and they'll do it as a party. They'll do the usual song and dance that every party has to do about, the flag of the party, the name of the party, things like that. But there's real actionable things that individuals can really do, and we don't want to dismiss them just because they didn't put up posters or they didn't have the resources to, book a rally site and things like that. Because all those are logistical issues that really smaller parties or independent candidates face during elections. Right? We learned that in the interview as well, right?
I mean, in some way, we are like a shadow petir.sg. Right?
Shadow petir.
Yeah, we're shadow petir, right?
What,
like,
you...
I mean, petir talks about all the things that the PAP does. And we, thrice a week, we come on and sometimes, we, share our thoughts on it, which might be counter to what petir says. So we are shadow petir.
I see ourselves more as like a shadow Straits Times or something.
Or shadow Straits Times.
Right. Whatever the Straits Times don't want or don't dare to say, we actually, why can't we talk about it?
Yeah, and if people shit on us saying what do we know? We're just two
we don't have the resources.
Yeah.
I don't have $1 million salary.
I mean, people do say that. What is two people? Always swear and always say dick and all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, we are just trying our best to make sense of what is happening in the politics. I don't think we have a net negative impact if you don't choose not to listen to us.
Correct.
So same way, if RDU wants to do this outside of parliament, by all means, go ahead. Every other party who wants to do something unique, novel, go ahead. Because another thing about the shadow government is when I heard that it's part of the Westminster system, I thought it was constitutional. But just a cursory check, it is not constitutional. It is not by regulation. It is just by convention. Yeah. And when I was wondering, but if there are multiple opposition parties in parliament, then how do you decide the shadow cabinet? It's decided by the leader of the opposition, which tends to come from the biggest party. So in Singapore, technically the WP could form a shadow government, shadow cabinet. It won't be recognized by parliament. They won't have any different voting rights. But it's almost something you communicate publicly and internally that, okay, you are going to be shadowing this, you're going to be shadowing that. It's really like you're playing a sports game. Man-to-man marking.
I just want to, before we move on, I just want to correct something I said. I think Cherry and George and Bertha Hansen probably just gagged when they heard us talk about being shadow Straits Times. Because we're not journalists, right? We're not journalists. We don't have the resources, fine. I think if anything, maybe we had a shadow lunch with Sumiko.
We just sit in a dark room and like eat dinner. We eat dinner.
We eat dinner.
Lunch with Sumiko Tan, dinner with Terence and Harish.
The shadow lunch with Sumiko.
Shadow lunch.
We talk to people, so we interview them, but we ask different types of questions. Business leaders, politicians, thought leaders. We'd love to get the kind of guests that they can get on Lunch with Sumiko. So right? Yeah. But we also know it takes a leap of imagination, a leap of faith for the guests also to understand. They're entering a shadow lunch with us, not with Sumiko.
So we are shadows of Sumiko in some way.
In some ways, right? Yeah.
Shadows of Sumiko.
Yeah.
And I mean, then we need to start going to restaurants interview these people.
People should host us.
No, but we go the other extreme. She go fancy restaurants. We go to like the gritty, the lighting them chala, that kind of thing.
That's everywhere we go for lunch. I don't get to partake
shadow
in
lunch with Sumiko Tan. Yeah, correct. Shadow lunch with Sumiko Tan.
Yeah, that's a closer analogy. I think to say that we are like a news organization is a bit of a stretch.
And Petir also is too political.
Yeah.
We are shadow lunch with Sumiko Tan.
Shadow lunch with Sumiko. Shout out to Sumiko Tan.
Shadow lunch. Wow. It just rolls off the tongue, man.
It rolls off, yes.
Cool, man.
But yeah. Cool. So, I mean, so you're gonna congratulate Ravi for this and everything?
I mean, first have to see something rather than just maybe there's they're announcing who the shadow ministers are going to be.
Correct.
Because in the UK, they literally say the shadow finance minister has something to say.
Yeah.
Wow, then I think it's damn cool,
I mean, maybe if they restrict it to people who are outside of parliament, because there's still a lot of good people outside. Say Paul Tambaya, Shadow Health Minister. Right? Makes total sense, right?
The only difference is if you are in Parliament, you probably get a lot more access to actually truly be a shadow.
True.
Whereas if you're outside, you're just like from far.
Yeah.
It's like shadow lunch with Sumiko Tan.
But like Jeremy Tan said, like he can pull the full Hansard of the 14th Parliament of Singapore.
Oh yeah, true.
To read. Why can't people do that? Why can't the shadow cabinet do that? Right?
Shadow.
Yeah. So who else do you think would be good for a so-called shadow cabinet?
I mean, maybe someone like from with actual financial background to be like shadow finance minister.
I mean, Leong Man Wai worked in banking and all.
Banking, but maybe more to do with macroeconomic policy or
banking is.
But banking, I'm not so familiar about what the intricacies of his day-to-day work was. Because in banking, it's a whole slew of roles you can do, right?
Yeah. Or he could be our foreign minister. He speaks fluent Japanese also, right?
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah. Or I mean, for MCCY, someone who is, I can't think of who.
MCCY?
Yeah.
Shadow. I mean, I mean, you're talking about outside of PAP and Workers' Party, right? Yeah. There's, I mean, Leon Pereira's out there, He's out there as well.
He's out there, correct.
Yeah.
Shadow, Shadow Minlaw.
Yeah. Shadow Minlaw.
I mean,
I think lawyers, they could get, I think you'd be able to find a lawyer who's willing to do that. Yeah.
Haprit.
Haprit. No, but Haprit is in Workers' Party, you see.
But true lah. He's not in Parliament, but he's in Workers' Party. Correct.
So my guess is Workers' Party will not want to have anything to do with this shadow cabinet.
Yeah. And I mean, interesting that, these other parties are coming out and saying what their plans are. Haven't heard much from WP. But I mean, typically they're very, how you say, I think they spend a lot of time just before they announce something. They're very, I wouldn't say conservative, but very methodical.
I mean, they only just decided on the 2 NCMP seats last week only, right? So there's still a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of moving parts, there's there's also a lot of change going on in some of the, I would say quite quite iconic institutions in Singapore, right?
Mm.
But this change is not necessarily for the better, right? Or doesn't, I don't know how it adds to the imagination of the people. But what is this institution that's going through change?
It is the modernist icon, People's Park Complex, which is in Chinatown, Singapore. I mean, it's been announced that by the later half of 2025, it would be repainted red and white.
Yeah.
And I mean, the choice of, I mean, it's been a bit of like a, wouldn't say backlash, but a few questions whether or not it's intended to coincide with Singapore's national flag, given that it's SG60 this year.
But actually, it's already started already. And I think part of the facade has already been painted red and white. It's ongoing and it's will be completed before the end of the year.
Okay.
So if you drive past People's Park Complex, you will actually see the red and white facade already.
Oh, because works was slated to take place from December 1st, 2024 to August 15th.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've always known this. I mean, everybody has always known this building to be of a certain color. What color is it? Like
I would say yellow and green.
Yellow and green.
But very almost pastel-y yellow and green.
Yeah. So red and white feels like, it's a very weird color choice. So that's why there was some questions. I think, is this just because of SG60? But they've clarified that no, it is not specifically for SG60. It was recommended by a designer and approved by the building's management.
Yeah.
That was said by the managing agent, Claire Dixon Lim. The red and white facade scheme will be used on the facade and inside the mall.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I think we had a discussion about the painting of HDB blocks, right? And there was a big hoo-ha over a group of residents, I think in Bedok, right? Was it?
No, the Tiong Bahru.
Oh, sorry, Tiong Bahru.
Yeah,
Tiong Bahru.
Tiong Bahru.
They didn't have a say in the colors of the HDB flat.
Yeah.
Same thing here. I think the tenants and all did not really have a say in the color of the facade and all.
Oh yeah, because it's residential. There's a lot of residential apartments there. It's not just like a mall or office.
Yeah, because the journalists interviewed some people, some I think store owners and all, and they even know that was happening until they looked up and actually saw it. So it is quite a jarring thing because this People's Park Complex is quite iconic in Singapore skyline already, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not something that I think just so readily we that they should just change the color to something so that looks so obviously propagandistic, right?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe a bit too much haste in doing it.
Because I mean, it has had color changes in the past.
Yeah.
So when it was built, it was the beige colored facade. Then in 1998. There was an orange and green scheme.
Yeah. Orange and almost like orange and teal.
Oh, orange. Shit. It's like orange and teal. Oh my God.
Conspiracy theories.
Orange and teal.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Then there was the Chinese characters Chen Zu Fang or Pearl Square, which was added to the facade.
Yeah.
Then after that, in 2009, it was repainted again to a brighter yellow and green scheme. And then now it's going to be repainted red and white. I mean, it feels like, okay, one coat of paint in 1998, one coat of paint in 2009. It feels like, okay, every 10 years or so. So, okay, due for repainting. Yeah. But yeah, red and white really feels like, walao. Wow.
I mean, the interview did talk, the article did interview an architectural photographer, Darren So, who said that the bright red is very polarizing. Either you love it or you don't. But also the fact that when light shines on the building, there'll be reflections, right? And everything will have a bit of a red glow to it around the building. And that's a real thing that people don't think about. I think even HDB, when they painted, there was someone complained about. They said the block next door was painted red. Everything was just a reflection of red in his house, right?
Yeah.
So that's a real thing that also hasn't really, feels like hasn't been considered when painting this facade, such bright, garish colors.
But also, what they say is not specifically because of SG60. I mean, it feels like it's obviously because of SG60.
Yeah. I mean, I find it hard to believe that any designer who thinks about using red and white and something in Singapore doesn't realize that that is literally the colors of our flag, man.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah lah. So even though they clarified it's not to do with SG60, it just feels okay. So I don't know. Is that protected, that building? I think it
I
is,
think
right?
it's in the midst of
Being protected, right?
Yeah.
So for a heritage building
Yeah.
that is going to be protected, why do you not want to kind of make it look like a heritage building rather than a new HDB flat?
But what do you mean by look like a heritage
I
building?
mean, like going back to the color schemes that it's always had, lah.
Apparently, it used to be unpainted. Like it used to be in the brutalist fashion.
Yeah, that
It's
was when it
unpainted.
first was conceived, lah.
Yeah. So you're saying to go back to
Yeah,
that,
man.
make people's park complex great again.
I mean, old again, lah. I mean, there's one thing. The whole point of preserving heritage buildings is so there is more, you appreciate the culture, the history, and almost there's more variety in the skyline, lah.
Yeah.
This one, honestly, if it's red and white, walao, it looks like why?
But I mean, you say that now, but maybe that is what will make it stand out even more in the Singapore skyline, right?
For better or worse, lah.
Because it's an old building, right?
Yeah.
It can't hold a candle to MBS or, the skyline along Fullerton building that side, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the designers wanted to make it really stand out, in this SG60 celebrations as drones and planes are flying by and shooting videos of the skyline.
So if
that's what they wanted.
If we walk down the street and I tell you from now on, Terence, I'm going to be wearing a red and white mankini.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I will stand out.
Yeah.
Because not many people wear mankinis.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would you still walk beside me?
I mean, I wouldn't lah, right? But
Yeah.
you still be my friend lah. It's just that, I would let you
Keep a
leave.
distance,
You go for lunch. You go for lunch first. I'll catch up with you.
Tell me, hey, Terence, why? Why? I'm still the same person, what, Terence? And I mean, now we stand out together.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
Not everything that stands out is a good kind of standout, Terence.
Correct, like, yeah.
So-
maybe it's just you in a mankini, regardless of the color.
Regardless of the color. Regardless of the color.
Yeah.
But I mean, it feels very sad because I mean, okay, not even taking into account that the residents had no choice. This is still, I think the difference between this and HDB is public housing, lah.
Yeah.
This is still considered private, right?
Private, yeah.
So whether the residents should have a say or not, that one I think there's some difference.
Yeah.
But if this was built as a brutalist style building, if there's so much history, like previously the colors all quite funky, lah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like that old auntie or uncle who wears some very loud colors.
Yeah.
But you're like, hey, I get you, lah.
Fits, right? It just
It
fits.
fits you, like it fits like maybe during your time it was cool and all.
Riz, yeah.
Yeah.
Riz.
Yeah, it might look like the previous one, the orange and somewhat teal.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's nice.
But it looked very oof, like is that a nice color combination? But then it became so iconic. And you immediately think, okay, this is the building that, was built before my time.
Yeah.
But then now it feels like this building was built last year.
Yeah.
It's red and white, lah.
Correct, yeah. It's,
So-
I mean, that's the thing, lah. I think maybe the truth is that SG60 is just too big an opportunity to pass up, lah, right? In terms of exposure, in terms of understanding that your building will become featured in the Singapore skyline, right? Maybe for us, down here, for us it's like, oh, ugly. But then to them, the larger considerations are just, it'll be seen around the world. Don't forget that when MBS was being built, there was a lot of criticism about the shape and structure of MBS as well, right? People are comparing it to, I think in Chinese temples, they have these things for dead people and all that, right? So people were comparing to that, but you look at MBS now, it's like the must-go destination for any visitor visiting Singapore.
But that's a new building, right? So you're almost like a new building where you're trying to set a precedent for what it stands for in future. This one is an old building where already we know that Singapore has always this thought, what is our identity, what is our culture.
Correct.
When you have a chance to, really celebrate the culture. And then they nicely also say the works will finish on October 15th.
Yeah.
It's almost like maybe,
August 15th.
August 15th. Maybe, originally it was supposed to finish like August 1st. Then like, it'd be too obvious. It's actually let's just finish a week after National Day.
Yeah.
Which also sounds a bit like I'm trying to pull our leg.
So, I mean, to you, it's like very gaudy and everything. But I'm saying that, is there a possibility that tourists will see it, or the world will see it and be like, wow, Singapore red and white flag. Yeah, I recognize that's famous building and I want to go check it out and all that.
When U2 came to Singapore and at the concert, they projected this
Don't even need you
flag.
two. When Lady Gaga
Lady
unfurled
Gaga.
the Singapore flag at her concert, how do you feel, Harish?
I mean, it was just very meme-worthy lah. Very meme-worthy.
Yeah.
But I felt it was a bit too try-hard lah.
A bit to try hard.
Yeah, a bit too try. Like, I love it when the artists come and like, for Coldplay, highlighting the local artists as the opening act. And like when they interact with the crowd, it really feels like they are talking to Singapore lah.
When Lady Gaga ate at Maxwell Food Centre.
That was fucking solid.
I was like, wow, proud that she did that,
Because you can imagine every country she goes to, she just let go the flag.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. It's too easy already, right?
It's too easy, yeah.
I feel that's where I'm also with you, where I'm like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah, Singapore flag. But it's too easy a thing already.
Yeah, it's too easy.
It's like anybody can do it, and she does it probably at every concert.
Yeah.
I heard in Brazil, was it Brazil or somewhere, where she wore a dress that was in the colours of the flag or something. So they want a bit more effort, you see. Whereas unfurling a flag, I thought was like, that's like too easy already.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, Coldplay went the other extreme where they almost came up with their own National Day song.
They bought it fully.
That's like, we fucking love you, man. We just want to be part of your National Day psyche. So, I mean, in this kind also, it feels very forced. It feels forced. So, I mean, suddenly it's like, wow, architectural marvel or some stuff like that. I can't imagine it. But it's just a pity.
Yeah. I mean, that's the interesting thing. Is gazetted for, I think, they've completed a structural study, and then they're anticipating that it's going to be conserved, right?
Yeah.
I guess the question is like, in what state do they want it conserved? And I think you are more of the camp that we should go back to what it was originally, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be a chance to change it again, possibly because of this conservation thing, and then just for SG60, maybe they just want it to shine brightly in the skyline during these celebrations, right? We don't know.
You mean next year paint again?
Maybe, yeah. Once it goes under conservation and all, I think there's a lot of different rules and all that they need to adhere to.
So the conversation is not complete yet, lah.
In March 25, URA completed a structural study ahead of anticipated conservation. So I don't think it has been finalized yet. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, but
so there's still chance. There's still a chance it might change.
Still got chance. But I mean, at the end of the day, like at this point, it feels a little sad, lah.
Okay.
Sad. A little sad.
I mean, let's hope that it's not as horrendous as I imagine it might look.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in progress already, that means we can kind of see it already.
Correct.
And see how it looks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. So, what was your one Shiok comment these last few days?
My one Shiok comment, it was an Instagram message. But okay,
Instagram message.
Let me find it.
Okay.
You have yours?
No, not yet. But you have yours?
I mean, I just said let me find it, right? Fuck.
No, but yours is a Instagram message, right? So you can.
I'm looking.
Okay, you're looking.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, let's give you some time to look. Mine will be from YouTube. Yeah.
Yours on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, wait. Can't find it. Shit.
Can't find it? Okay. Then I'll just say it. So Evelyn Jensen on YouTube, on our last post about the fake Piyush Gupta post, he said, "Ouch, Terence. Hope you're okay. Had a twisted ankle in January this year. Worst time of my life, still recovering. Get well soon, Terence. Harish, don't give Terence a hard time. A healthy mind is important for recovery." See, I'm not the only one that calls you up for your almost hustle behavior and
Please
all that.
Little do they know that, I send you messages checking in on you.
There's a fine line between checking in and just like badgering someone like, "Are you coming in? Coming in."
Hey, I only messaged you once. Don't give me this shit. Okay, I found a Reddit comment on our last episode. Old man Twix Eater. Start off well wishes to you again. I hope you recover soon, Terence. I'm glad to be back listening to Yalla Butt Tries a Week again, and even going back to listen to episodes I missed out on. As a long-time listener, Yalla Butt wouldn't be what it is without the banter at the start of every episode.
Yeah.
I could really feel Terence trying to make Harish look bad at the start of this episode. Keep it up, guys. So, like he could feel you trying to make me look bad lah. So I just want to highlight that as much as people think I give you a hard time, right?
Yeah.
People don't see, they don't realize how hard a time you give me. You know? Okay, so I appreciate this person mentioning it, even though they sound like they enjoyed it lah.
I'm basically like the shadow cabinet in your life. I give you a hard time, ask you questions.
Yeah, same way lah.
things.
When you think, oh, I should rest at home because my ankle damn painful, then I message you like, you know what, Harish is right lah. I should push myself harder.
None of that. There's never been like that. There's only like scowls like, what? We're on leave again, huh? We're on holiday again, huh? That kind of thing.
Hey, nonsense.
Cannot,
Nonsense.
That,
You know, I'm always at your, you know.
Going to pick up your child again?
Hey, don't anyhow like that. Don't. I've changed a lot. But yeah, man, cool. And what is your one Shiok thing?
So my one Shiok thing is because recently I've been watching a lot of The Devil's Plan, right? Which is this Korean reality show where people play games and eliminate each other and all that. It's quite fun. I mean, it was my one Shiok thing before.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of they play actually a lot of casino games like poker and games like that, right? So I just chanced upon this video from earlier this month by Wired magazine. It's labeled "Cheating Expert Answers Casino Cheating Questions." Tech support. So it's part of their tech support section, and they talk about basically they get someone who is a casino. He used to work with casinos as a cheating expert and used to go around the floor catching gamblers who cheat or dealers who cheat the system as well. So it's very interesting because he talks a lot about how the stuff that you see in movies, does that actually work? How does hacking in machines work? How the types of how a dealer can cheat using shuffles, using fake chips and things like that. And even the question on everyone's mind is an Ocean's 11 style heist even possible? Is it a reality? And TLDR, yes, it's possible, and it's quite interesting when he talks about it.
And it was done on which channel?
Wired magazine.
Wired,
So they have this section called Tech Support where they ask an expert questions from the internet. So this video is super interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is something related to wealth, and okay, it's my one Shiok thing. But it makes you kind of look at maybe Singapore, like I'm not saying in a totally different way, but it adds to certain perspectives on Singapore. I just happened to chance upon an article talking about how the billionaires in Singapore are, stocking up on gold and parking them in Singapore.
Yeah.
And then one of the people interviewed was the founder of this guy called this building called the Reserve. Have you heard of it?
Is it like next to Changi Airport?
It's somewhere, I don't know where exactly, but it is a mega vault that's been built in Singapore that can store up to 15,000 tons of rare metals, so silver, gold. And if you look at it, it looks like a prototype building, but it's an actual building in Singapore.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. I don't think they talk about the location very openly because, I mean, it's supposed to be super high security.
Yeah.
But I never knew this thing existed in Singapore. Have you? So you are aware of it somewhat, is it?
I'm aware of a facility where I think rich people can come and put their really paintings and assets and store them.
Oh, that's the one at the airport, right?
Yeah, that's near the airport.
Which there's a term for it, the Freeport.
The Freeport, the
Freeport.
Right.
But that I think is an extension of the airport because I know someone distant who kind of works out of there.
I see.
But the Reserve, this building, it was slated for completion in 2023 based on this video. So I'm guessing it is already out there.
Yeah.
But you look at it, it looks like, holy shit, this is insane. Like it's an insane building and it's in Singapore. And why I say it might make you look at Singapore differently or add to a certain perspective is, I mean, Singapore is well known to be like a place loved by rich people, including money launderers. So this is probably adds to those reasons why people would want to park their money in Singapore.
And they keep physical gold bars.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, just now you're talking about Ocean's 11 style heist.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at this, you're like, oh shit, I didn't even know this thing exists in Singapore until recently.
I mean, that was like the movie, the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet.
Yeah.
There's one part where they broke into one
Freeport,
of these Freeport thingies,
correct,
and then all the stuff stored in there was like really valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
yeah, it's crazy. It's it's a building that looks insane.
Right.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Awesome. That's another episode down.
Yeah.
Remember to follow us on all our social media, Instagram, TikTok. Leave us a review on Spotify and Apple. That always helps.
Yeah.
And if you want to work with us,
Email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com or just check out ministryoffunny.com. There's a way to contact us there.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll talk to you all soon.